Have you ever woken from a dream and whispered to yourself, "That felt too real"? Not just vivid, but as if you had actually been somewhere, or with someone, or perhaps seen something before it happened. What if that wasn't imagination? What if it was a signal from somewhere beyond? Welcome to Lucid Dream Portal, where we explore the intersection of science, consciousness, and the infinite worlds within us. And today, we begin a journey into one of the most controversial, beautiful, and mysterious possibilities of all. That dreams might not just show you the past, but glimpse the future. And more than that, they might connect you to a hidden layer of reality itself. Let's start with a simple, radical question. Can dreams be psychic? Can they predict future events, reveal knowledge we shouldn't have, or even act as a form of communication between minds? You might be tempted to dismiss the idea as fantasy, something from a sci-fi novel or fringe conspiracy theory. But what if I told you that the CIA didn't think so? And what if I told you that some of the most groundbreaking dream research was conducted not by mystics or psychics, but by medical institutions, universities, and government-funded labs? Let me take you back. In the 1960s, at a medical center in Brooklyn, New York, a man named Montague Ullman had a question. He'd heard stories, real, serious accounts of people dreaming about things before they happened, of describing images, symbols, even newspaper headlines, before they were ever printed. With help from psychologist Stanley Krippner, Ullman began a long and serious investigation into this phenomenon. They called it dream telepathy, or what many now call dream ESP. Their idea was bold. Could people, while dreaming, access information that they shouldn't logically be able to know? So they designed experiments to test it. And not just any experiments, controlled, peer-reviewed, documented experiments, published in reputable journals for over 30 years. In one of their earliest trials, a well-known medium named Eileen Garrett took part. She was asked to sleep in a lab, monitored by researchers. In another room, a sealed envelope containing a target image unknown to anyone in the room sat untouched. That night, she dreamed of a vivid chariot race, black horses, white horses, dust flying. The next day, they opened the envelope. Inside was a still image from the movie Ben-Hur, the chariot race scene. Coincidence? Maybe. One lucky hit. But they didn't stop there. Over the next few decades, more than 200 experiments were conducted, many with impressive, statistically significant results. Not every test proved ESP, but enough of them raised serious questions. Enough for the National Institute of Mental Health, a major U.S. government body, to fund a lab with over $500,000. Think about that. The U.S. government once funded dream ESP research. That's not a theory. That's documented history. But why? Why would something as seemingly fringe as dream telepathy matter to the scientific world or the military? Because if it's real, even a little bit real, it changes everything. If the mind can access information without using the five senses, if dreams can show us the future, if we can communicate in ways that transcend time and space, then we've been vastly underestimating the power and purpose of human consciousness. And maybe, just maybe, we've misunderstood what dreams really are. Let's step back for a moment. You and I, we dream every night. Even when we don't remember, our minds wander into other realms. Sometimes we revisit old memories. Sometimes we meet strange symbols. Sometimes we fly. And sometimes we wake up, changed. Science has long viewed dreams as random neural firings, flickers of memory, emotional cleanup. But what if in some cases the dream isn't just about the past? What if it's a download? What if it's a moment where the brain, unbound from the waking world, becomes a receiver, picking up on something beyond the physical? Many cultures already believed this. Shamans called it vision walking. Monks called it divine insight. And modern psychology, it often calls it a coincidence. But when the coincidences pile up, when people describe tomorrow's news or warn of danger they couldn't have known, you begin to wonder if something deeper is going on. Here's where it gets personal. I've had these dreams. Maybe you have too. Dreams that told me things I couldn't have possibly known. Dreams that came with a sense of urgency, a kind of truth I couldn't shake. And days or weeks later, they unfolded. Not exactly, not like a movie script, but close enough that my breath would catch. Maybe they were just lucky guesses. Maybe not. But the point isn't to convince you. The point is to invite you to consider the possibility that your mind, especially while dreaming, may be touching something far bigger than we've been taught. This is just the beginning. In the next part, we'll go deeper into how this may work. From quantum resonance to hemispheric brain syncing, from dream labs to declassified CIA reports. And we'll explore the one thing they all point to: that consciousness is not a side effect of biology. It is a force. It is a frequency. And when you sleep, you might just be tuning in. So next time you dream, ask yourself, was it just a story? Or was it something more? Because what you dismiss as just a dream today might be the truth of tomorrow. In part 1, we opened a door into the mystery of dream ESP, the possibility that, while asleep, your mind can access information from beyond space and time. Now, let's walk through that door. Because while this may sound supernatural, the reality is far stranger and more fascinating. This is not just folklore. It's not just intuition. It's backed by decades of experimental research. So, let's explore the science. Back in the 1960s, the Maimonides Dream Laboratory in Brooklyn became ground zero for the first large-scale scientific investigations into dream ESP. It was here that researchers like Montague Ullman and Stanley Krippner set out to test something radical. Can a person, during REM sleep, access information that is physically sealed and hidden without any sensory cues whatsoever? In other words, can we receive messages in dreams without seeing, hearing, or logically deducing them? The experiments were surprisingly simple. A sender was placed in one room with a sealed image, often an abstract painting, a photo, or a film still. In a separate room, the receiver would sleep while researchers monitored their brainwaves. During REM sleep, the stage most associated with vivid dreaming, the researchers would gently wake the receiver and ask them what they had just dreamed. Then they'd compare the dream content with the target image. In many cases, the overlap was uncanny. One dreamer described a black horse chasing a white one in a Roman stadium. The target image: a scene from Ben-Hur, the film. But one example isn't enough. So they ran hundreds of trials. And over time, a pattern emerged. The success rate was statistically significant, far beyond what chance would allow. This was no longer about belief. It was about data. And yet, the mainstream scientific world barely blinked. Why? Because these findings challenged the foundation of what science had long believed: that the brain is an isolated processor, limited to information gathered by the five senses. But dream ESP, if real, implies something more: that the mind is not just a receiver, but a resonator. That it can tune into frequencies, to fields of information, beyond conventional detection. And that, while we sleep, our rational filters go offline, allowing us to access what we otherwise block out. The question is no longer if people have experienced this. The question is why it works and how. Some clues came from an unexpected place: the Earth itself. One researcher, psychologist Michael Persinger, noticed something strange in reports of psychic activity. They tended to spike during periods of low geomagnetic activity. In other words, when Earth's electromagnetic field was calm, dreams became clearer. ESP events were more frequent. Something opened. The Maimonides team tested this too. And they found the same thing. On quiet magnetic nights, dream ESP success rates shot up. Now think about what that means. Your brain, your thoughts, your dreams are not just in you. They are affected by the cosmic environment, by solar activity, by Earth's energy fields. We are, in a very literal sense, plugged into something much larger than ourselves. But here's where it gets even stranger. In one experiment, researchers tried something new. Instead of placing a picture in an envelope, they created an experience that hadn't happened yet. The subject was told they'd be doing something the next day, but they weren't told what. The next morning, a researcher rolled dice, pulled a box from storage, and inside was the randomly selected activity, watching a slideshow about birds. Now rewind. The night before, during REM sleep, the subject had recorded dreams filled with birds. Coincidence? Remember, not even the researchers knew what the experience would be. So how did the dreamer? Was he accessing the future? Or more radically, was he tapping into a dimension where that future already existed? Some scientists now suggest that time may not flow the way we think it does. That past, present, and future are all part of a larger field. And consciousness, when unbound by physical senses, might be able to navigate it. We've seen this hinted at in quantum physics, in non-locality, in entanglement, in the idea that observation itself shapes reality. So if dreams are states of altered consciousness, if they reduce our attachment to the ego, the body, the logic filters, then maybe dreams are how we step into that quantum space. Maybe your dream last night wasn't just you imagining something random. Maybe it was your consciousness wandering, tuning into potential futures that already exist in some form. And when you remember those dreams, you bring a piece of that possibility back into the now. This isn't just about dream ESP anymore. It's about what it means to be conscious, to be a human with access to intuitive knowledge, to vibrations beyond language, to the collective field of time, memory, intention, and imagination. And maybe, just maybe, this is the real reason governments, militaries, and elite institutions have studied dream states for decades. Not for entertainment, but for information. If you could gather intel, see future events, communicate telepathically, or travel outside the limits of space and time, wouldn't you want to know how? They did. And some of them still do. In Part 3, we'll explore the CIA's secret connection to dream ESP. We'll look at the gateway process, the Monroe Institute, and how the human brain may be designed to resonate with the entire planet and beyond. But until then, ask yourself, what is your mind capable of when your body is at rest? Who are you when you dream? Because while science may still be asking questions, your soul already knows the answers. In the last 2 episodes, we explored how dreams might hold more than symbols and emotion, that they may in fact be windows into time, information, even other dimensions. And we discovered something strange. That science, real science, has been quietly studying this for decades. Now, it's time to go deeper. Let's talk about the CIA, the gateway process, and how altered states of consciousness may be the key to unlocking something far beyond human limits. In 1983, a classified report landed on the desks of U.S. Army intelligence officers. Its title: Analysis and Assessment of the Gateway Process. Prepared by Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McDonnell. The document, later declassified, was created in partnership with the Monroe Institute, a private research group that had been studying out-of-body experiences, consciousness, and remote viewing for years. The report wasn't speculation. It was a step-by-step breakdown of how the human brain could be trained to exit the limits of space and time. What they were after wasn't just relaxation. It was resonance, the ability to shift the frequency of your brain and consciousness to match the natural rhythms of the earth and beyond. They called this technique hemisync, short for hemispheric synchronization. Let's break that down. The idea is simple but powerful. Your brain has two hemispheres, left and right, and normally they operate a bit out of sync. But when both sides are brought into perfect rhythmic alignment, something changes. You enter what Monroe called a focus state. A state of mind that is deeply relaxed, yet fully aware. A state where information begins to flow differently. More intuitively. More multidimensionally. Using binaural beats, tones of slightly different frequencies played in each ear, they found that the brain could be gently entrained into the state. And once there, participants began to report extraordinary things. Out-of-body experiences, precognitive dreams, telepathic flashes, moments of clarity that defied normal explanation. The CIA took notice, because this wasn't just some new age meditation technique. It was producing repeatable results. So what does this have to do with dreams? A lot. Because REM sleep, the stage where most dreaming occurs, is already a hemispherically synchronized state. Your body is paralyzed, but your brain is highly active and open. What the gateway process did was teach people how to enter that dream-like state consciously and stay aware inside of it. They called this state mind awake, body asleep. And in that space, boundaries dissolve. Suddenly, you are not your body. You are not even your thoughts. You are awareness itself, floating in a sea of frequency, able to tune into layers of reality that your waking mind filters out. Sounds a lot like lucid dreaming, doesn't it? But the gateway process wasn't just dreaming. It was navigation. It was a map and a vehicle for exploring what Monroe called the non-physical realms. And the CIA? They wanted to know if it could be used to gather intelligence, to view distant places, to predict events. Because if the mind could leave the body and explore information in a timeless field, then why use satellites when you could use trained consciousness? The report goes deeper. It outlines how resonance plays a role in everything from the atomic to the planetary. The heart emits waves. The brain emits frequency. And when in harmony with Earth's Schumann resonance 7.83 Hz, the body becomes like a tuning fork, capable of absorbing and transmitting information instantly, across great distances. One part reads, "The human mind, once synchronized and in resonance with the Earth's energy field, becomes a coherent signal that can access levels of information outside of physical time-space." Let that sink in. They're saying that your consciousness, when properly tuned, can transcend time. Just like in prophetic dreams. Just like in intuitive flashes. Just like in the moments where you just know something you shouldn't. And they were training people to do it on purpose. But it wasn't just about exploring. The report warned of something else. That once these boundaries were crossed, individuals might encounter non-corporeal intelligences. Entities. Beings of a higher vibrational order. Whether metaphor or literal, the idea remains profound. That consciousness is not alone. And in those liminal states between sleep and wake, between self and space, we are not isolated beings, but participants in a larger field of sentient energy. This raises a deeper question. Are dreams simply your brain organizing memory and emotion? Or are they training grounds? Portals? Gateways into a reality you've forgotten how to see? The ancients believed in dream temples. Shamans spoke of spirit journeys. And now we find that intelligence agencies, neuroscientists, and consciousness researchers are circling back to the same idea. That the mind, when free from the body, is not blind but limitless. So what are we doing with this knowledge? Most people still dismiss dreams. They wake up, forget, move on. But maybe those dreams are messages, or missions, or memories from another layer of self. And maybe you don't need to wait for sleep. Maybe, like the gateway participants, you can train your mind to stay conscious as you slip into these other realms. In Part 4, we'll explore how all of this connects to quantum physics, non-locality, and why modern science may be confirming what mystics have known all along. But for now, ask yourself, what would happen if I trained myself to stay awake inside the dream? What if the dream is not the illusion, but the key? In the last episode, we explored the CIA's involvement with the Gateway process, a training method designed to push the human mind beyond space and time. But what if I told you? Science has been whispering about this possibility for over 100 years. And not in the shadows, but right in the open. It's time to bring the quantum lens into focus. Because when we look at dreams through the eye of quantum physics, the boundaries between reality and imagination start to blur. Let's start with one of the strangest yet most accepted principles in quantum theory: non-locality. In the quantum world, two particles can become entangled. And once they are, the state of one instantly affects the state of the other, even if they're on opposite sides of the universe. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But it's real. It's measurable. It's been proven. Now, apply that to consciousness. What if your thoughts, your dreams, your awareness itself is not confined to the space inside your skull? What if your mind is already entangled with memories, people, places, and versions of reality you've never consciously known? What if your dreams are not constructions of imagination, but echoes from other quantum branches? Here's where things get really wild. There's a theory in physics known as the many worlds interpretation. It suggests that every time a decision is made, at any level, the universe splits. In one world, you turned left. In another, you turned right. In one, you pursued your passion. In another, you never did. Each version of you continues, simultaneously, in a branching sea of parallel universes. Now, think about your dreams. Have you ever dreamed of being yourself, but in a totally different life? Different job, city, family, even personality. Have you ever woken up and thought, that felt like me, but not the me I know here? What if you were visiting another version of you? Not metaphorically, literally, through a collapse in quantum probability, through the loosened fabric of linear time, through the bridge we call dreaming. Some quantum physicists suggest that consciousness itself may be non-local, that it may not be produced by the brain at all, but instead accessed through it like a radio receiver tuning into a field of awareness that exists outside space-time. If that's true, then your dreaming mind is not hallucinating. It's scanning channels, tuning into possible realities, past ones, future ones, and maybe even ones that haven't happened yet. Here, let's go deeper. In lucid dreaming, the ability to become aware inside your dream, something incredible happens. You are no longer a passive observer. You become a creator. You shape the world around you. You fly, transform, explore. You conjure answers. You feel free. But what if that act of creation isn't symbolic? What if, just like in quantum physics, your observation is causing collapsing waveforms? What if your lucid awareness is building a temporary, yet real, version of a possible universe? A multiversal branch, just for you. A thought world brought into momentary existence and left behind, still echoing. That's the thing about quantum theory. Observation doesn't just record reality, it defines it. And in a dream, you are both the observer and the observed. Many mystics, ancient cultures, and modern theorists speak of the Akashic field, a universal memory bank, a library of everything that ever was, is, or could be. In physics, some interpret this as a zero-point field, a sea of energy and potential beneath all matter. Maybe your dreams are interfacing with that field. Maybe that's why some dreams feel like messages. Why some feel like warnings, or why others leave you with information, insight, or emotions that seem to come from nowhere but hit you deeply. Because maybe they're not coming from inside you. Maybe they're coming from all of you. From every version of you across all timelines. Trying to speak back through the veil. Now, let's tie this together. Dream ESP, as we've seen, challenges our understanding of time and space. The gateway process showed that consciousness could move beyond a body. And quantum theory opens the door to simultaneous realities, constantly branching and existing. So ask yourself, what is a dream? Is it an illusion? Or a visitation? A file playing in your brain? Or a download from a larger mind? Are you dreaming in a void? Or are you walking through rooms, in other worlds? Let's return to something personal. Have you ever had a dream so vivid, so detailed, so emotionally precise, that it felt like returning, not imagining? Like you were going home? What if that was another version of you? Another universe? Where something inside you still lives? And what if dreaming isn't sleep at all, but travel? What if dreams are how you move through the multiverse? One awareness, many lives, countless windows. In Part 5, we'll explore the blurring line between waking and dreaming, and how lucid dreams may be the key to navigating both. But before that, tonight, when you close your eyes, pay attention. What you see might not be random. What you feel may not be symbolic. It might be a message from another reality, from another you, waiting to be remembered. What if this, right now, was still a dream? How would you know? Would the colors feel slightly more vivid? Would the air carry more emotion? Would gravity feel just a little lighter? Now reverse the question. How do you know you're awake? Because here's the thing no one tells you. The boundary between dreaming and waking is not a wall. It's a membrane. And sometimes, that membrane gets so thin, you can see right through it. In this episode, we explore the blurry line between waking life and the dream world. How the two interact, inform, and even bleed into each other. And how, through lucid dreaming, you can begin to live in that space. Intentionally. Let's begin with a question you probably felt but never voiced. Why do some dreams feel more real than life itself? You wake up with your heart racing, tears on your face, or laughter in your chest. But more than that, there's a sense, a knowing. Like what you just experienced mattered deeply. Maybe it was symbolic. Maybe it was personal. Maybe it was a memory from another version of you. But whatever it was, it left a mark. In modern psychology, dreams are often seen as the mind's way of sorting memory and emotion. Symbols of inner conflict, repressed desires. But what if that's only one layer? What if, in the dream state, we are tapping into something deeper than the self? What if dreams are feedback from a greater intelligence? A field of awareness that's not bound by ego or time. And more than that, what if we can learn to enter that field on purpose? That's where lucid dreaming comes in. Lucid dreaming is the ability to realize that you're dreaming, while still inside the dream. And when that happens, something incredible unfolds. You shift from observer to creator. You no longer drift through random imagery. You begin to shape the world around you. Want to fly? You can. Want to talk to your subconscious? Try. Want to explore a past memory or meet a guide? Do it. But here's the real power of lucid dreaming. It teaches you something that transforms your waking life. That reality responds to awareness. Just like in the dream. What you believe becomes what you see. The ancient Tibetans knew this. In Tibetan dream yoga, monks trained themselves to remain conscious through every state. Waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and even death. They believed that lucidity was the first step toward enlightenment. Why? Because the moment you realize you are dreaming, you also realize you are not the dream. You are the dreamer, the source, the still point within all movement. And that realization doesn't just apply to dreams. It applies to life. Lucid dreaming blurs more than the dream-wake boundary. It blurs the line between the subconscious and the superconscious, between the world within and the world without. And sometimes in those rare moments of perfect clarity, you'll have dreams that feel like conversations with something higher, a guide, a future self, an energy that lives beyond words. These dreams leave an afterglow. You don't just remember them. You carry them. They change the way you think, feel, create, decide. They become pivot points in your life. You might wonder, how do I have dreams like that? The answer is intention. Lucid dreaming doesn't always happen spontaneously. It can be trained. You begin by planting a seed. Each night, ask yourself as you drift off, tonight, I will remember that I'm dreaming. Then during the day, practice reality checks. Look at your hands. Read a sentence twice. Ask, am I dreaming? Eventually, your awareness will carry over. And one night, you'll look at your hands in a dream. And remember, that's when the real journey begins. But lucid dreaming isn't just about control. It's about exploration. It's a space where you can ask the universe a question, and sometimes get an answer. It's a field of infinite possibility, where your mind stops playing by the rules of gravity and logic, and starts expressing truth in the form of metaphor, emotion, and symbol. It's where healing can happen, where inspiration lives, where prophecy is possible. Because when you become lucid, you are not escaping the world. You're entering another layer of it. And perhaps, just perhaps, it's a layer where other versions of you are waiting. Let's return to the idea we've been circling this whole series. That consciousness is not confined to the body. That time is not linear. That dreams are not fiction. In lucid dreams, you are fully conscious inside an alternate reality. That alone should shake the foundation of how we define what is real. We've spent this journey chasing a question hidden behind every vivid dream, every déjà vu, every whisper from the unconscious. Are dreams just dreams, or something more? We followed the thread through science, from REM studies to neural resonance, to hemispheric sync and brainwave entrainment. We followed it through time, into the ancient temples of dreamwalkers, the secret archives of the CIA, and the minds of physicists who see time as a probability, not a straight line. And most importantly, we followed it through you. Your memories, your flashes of insight, your dreams that refuse to be forgotten. Let's step back. In a world that values what can be measured, we often forget the most powerful truths are not measured. They are felt. They are lived. They are remembered in silence at 3:14 a.m., alone in the dark, heart racing after a dream that felt like a message. But a message from who? From where? We've seen the possibilities. That your dreams might come from a non-local field of consciousness. That they might access a multiverse of potential lives. That they might reflect and reshape your waking reality. And still, every dream leaves you with one undeniable truth: that you are more than your body. Let's entertain something radical. What if dreams are not just random mental static? Not just your brain sorting files, but instead, a language between your conscious self, your subconscious self, and something larger than both. Call it your higher self. Call it the universe. Call it the field, the Akashic, the divine. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that you are being spoken to every night, through symbol, through metaphor, through emotion. And if you listen, really listen, you might begin to understand that dreams are not escape. They are guidance. And then there's lucidity. The moment in a dream where you wake up inside the dream. Not only do you become aware, you become empowered. You remember that you are not a victim of the dream. You are the creator of it. And suddenly, that awareness doesn't stay in the dream. It follows you back into waking life. You look at the world differently. You ask deeper questions. You begin to wonder, if I could become lucid in my sleep, can I become lucid in my life? Can I step outside the autopilot of habit? Can I remember that I am the dreamer, not the dream? Can I reshape my beliefs, my fears, my patterns, just like I reshape the world inside a lucid dream? And the answer, quietly but powerfully, is yes. Because this is the secret. There is no absolute line between dreaming and waking. Both are states of awareness. In one, the rules are flexible. In the other, they pretend to be rigid. But both respond to intention. Both speak in vibration. Both are shaped by the frequencies you hold. What you believe, what you feel, what you focus on. This is why spiritual traditions from the East to the West saw dreams as sacred. Because they knew. Dreams are how we rehearse our purpose. How we test our timelines. How we remember who we truly are. So now, I leave you with a final challenge. Tonight, as you fall asleep, don't just hope to rest. Set a clear intention. Ask, what do I need to know right now? What part of me needs to be remembered? What message is waiting to reach me through the veil? And then, when you wake, write it down. Not just the images but the feeling, the tone, the energy, the echo. Because dreams don't always speak in words. They speak in frequency. And that frequency lives inside you. Pause, gentle music continues softly. Maybe you're still skeptical. Maybe all this sounds too vast, too speculative. But look back on your life. How many decisions have you made because of a gut feeling? How many times has something strange shown up in your dream and then reappeared in waking life? How many moments have you felt that life is more than what it appears? You don't need proof. You need permission to trust what's already true in you. You are not crazy. You are not imagining it. You are waking up. Here at Lucid Dream Portal, we are not just building a YouTube channel. We are building a community of seekers, of questioners, of dreamers who refuse to ignore the messages from the other side. So if something in the series spoke to you, if a sentence lit up your soul, if an idea stayed with you after the video ended, then I invite you to join us. Cyclone subscribe. Speech balloon leave a comment, even just a word. Open book share a dream that changed you. Because I believe the world is not waiting for more facts. It's waiting for more awakened humans. People who remember their origin. Who navigate with their intuition. Who dare to dream consciously in every dimension. You are one of them. You found this for a reason. So dream well. Wake deeply. And never forget, you are the dreamer. You are the dream. You are the key.